This morning. Yes, there we go. Okay, so this morning, first of all, everybody who's on video, and every time you get on video, you're so awesome, because I know it's kind of it's not a free day, but it's a little bit of a free day, right? Like, you can be off video sometimes, and it feels good. And then you show up like a leader, and here you are on video again, another Thursday. So great job, great job. Practice power up. I feel like this is a game show a little bit, because so for those of you taking, this is like personally I did it for me because it's my reality check. My reality check is 46 days away from Halloween, 71 days away from Thanksgiving, days away from the end of the sales year, right? December 4th, we're done. After that, we have 4 whole weeks to get that person that's got a loan to close, and we're done. 101 days away from Christmas and 107 days away from New Year's. So it sounds like not a lot of time, but at the same time, it can be a lot of time, right? Because that's 11 whole weeks. Like, we can do a whole lot in 11 weeks. So yay to us who have 11 weeks left to go, to just get this going for 2022. Because the reality is the year is not over, right? So we can definitely get things moving. We had one person join our company in the last week, so welcome to Place, welcome to the Texas community. And we usually start with gratitude and shout outs. Jaime and Brandon really took the wheel there, and they have already shouted themselves out and all the things. Brandon, you're up.
I was just gonna shout out Andrew. We had a slower week last week as we're getting into school season and all that stuff. Andrew and Alicia have been making some real dedication to take listings. They did that. They went live with, I think, 3 last week. But Andrew went ahead over the weekend, and him and Alicia pended 5 properties between Saturday and Tuesday. So I think they're taking Built House serious. They're taking their listing business serious, and they're wrapping it as much as possible up before we head out of town to Phoenix. So shout out to him and Alicia.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's a lot of listings, a lot of pending. And I want to say that there's probably something magical about it, but it's not. It's probably just consistency and focus, right?
Both of those things. Yeah, 100%.
Love it, love it. Casey, you're up. I see your hand.
Yeah, so I want to shout out Colton Soche. I promised I would learn how to say his name, and there it is. That's the proof. He is new. I just wanted to give him a shout out though, because he had a closing. I shouted him out for this pending, but that client had such a great experience, and Colton's leaning so hard into Sphere and some Facebook groups that he actually ended up being featured on the local news, which was super cool. Just because there's a lot of misinformation out there that you can't buy a house, and he was helping people with that. And then I also just wanted to shout him out for that closing, and he also tested out of his buyer presentation. So he really had a big week this week. And then also I wanted to shout out Jessica on our team as well, who tested out of her listing presentation, which was cool. So great job, guys.
All right. I love that. It's like top agents in the making, right? Mastery leads to confidence. Confidence can get you that closing so much faster. That conversion happens so much faster. I love it. I love it. Anybody else? This is your time. While you're thinking about it, I want to shout out Yvette. She signed a $250,000 listing from a sign call. This is the 3rd week in a row, you guys, that somebody that I know has signed something from a sign call. So if you're not known for picking up your phone, this could be your trigger to, hey, I'm going to change as a person. I'm going to pick up my phone when that phone rings, right? Brian Miller in Houston, I want to give him a shout out. He signed a $600,000 buyer from door knocking. This is the 2nd one in the last month that he has signed from door knocking. The first was a listing. This is a buyer. They are 2 separate people. So I thought that was really cool. I want to shout out Maria Galicia, who taught wealth building 5 years to $1 million net worth. Yesterday, she did an amazing job. Such a well-spoken person. And I want to shout out Beth, who is leading our team in a bold 6,000. That means 6,000 contacts across 5 weeks for 5 or 6 people, however many there are. It's really amazing. And then the last shout out I had on my list was Sarissa and the DFW team. I hear you guys have been doing pretty good. Meaning, have we hit something good? Is this public yet? I don't know. Actually, I just wrote it down and I realized I don't know if you told the team. You probably did because you're amazing. Yes, Sarissa? No?
Are you talking about like what we hit this week?
2.5?
Yeah, no, I haven't necessarily like made a big announcement about it. I know that sounds bad, but like, we hit it before. We're not where we want to be yet. And like, it just feels like another day. I know that's bad. We need to stop and celebrate more often, y'all. But yes, the team hit 2.5 this week, on Monday. So anyways,
Yes.
Yay for that.
Yay, team. The reason I brought it up, you guys, like, how many times have you like set a goal for yourself, like personally, like maybe your goal was to sell 12 properties or 24 or 36, and then it took you so long the first time. You were like, is this ever gonna happen? And then as you get into business, like closing your 24 is just like normal. Like you don't even stop to celebrate that part. And I'm super, like, that's me to a T. It used to take us as a team to like have everybody on our team to do $2.5 million in revenue in GCI. It used to take us the entire year. And sometimes not even hitting it, like short by 35,000, been there, done that, right? And so like to hit it this early, like even when we're not like where we want to be, to hit it this early, it's such a testament to the growth that we have all done. So DFW team, lots of growth.
Do you mind if
Love
I add
it.
to that real quick?
Yeah.
So, Ben says a lot of times, like, we don't always hit our goals in the time frame we planned, but we always hit our goals. And when I partnered with Adelina and Ben in the fall of 2017, really kicked it off strong in 2018. I wanted to hit it in 2018, y'all. And we didn't hit it until 2021. And that's okay. So just know that, you have to grow into the person that can handle that. And we had to grow an amazing team because I couldn't do it on my own, right? It wasn't a one-person show. So it was everybody coming together. And yes, we hit it a month earlier, I think, this year than we did last year. So yeah, it's really, really cool to see. And the one thing I'll add to that is, Adelina, the first year that she was going to hit it, she hit like 2.4, y'all. And we were all so like, it was the Austin team. And we were up here like, are you kidding me? Like by 100,000, just write $100,000 check. Like, I don't know, figure it out. Right. And sometimes that happens. I mean, I look at Dana and the DFW South team, they hit 95 units last year, y'all, 5 units short of 100 units and hitting managing partner. How frustrating. Don't you think they could have sold an extra 5 homes? Don't you think Austin that year could have done an extra 100K in income? Yes. So I would just encourage everybody to like push, like keep pushing, because you don't want to look back at the end of the year and go, man, I missed it by this much. All right. Anyways.
Yes. I love it. What a good message this morning. We better just wrap up, right? Okay, so let me give you an update on Built House that Ben and Chris are. If you have been living under a rock, there's such an amazing lineup of people, Michael Phelps being one of them. So I definitely will lose 30 pounds in the next week so that my picture looks good next to Michael if he's taking pictures. But with that said, we're expecting around 1,000 people. So just to give you a heads up, if you are going, like, get ready to network your head off. There are going to be so many non-place top agents there that you want to build relationships with, right? So while it's going to be fun, while it's not, your everyday, like, get into the headspace of, like, this is still work. So, like, let me build those connections, because you're going to want to sit next to your friends, right? And so I'm just, having done so many years and years of conferences, don't sit by your friends, sit by new people, because those people are the ones that are going to send you referrals. Your friends are awesome, but they're probably not going to send you referrals, or they're already sending you referrals and you're good. But those of us who like to be friends, we are hosting a dinner for this group, and I want to say this group versus like all of Texas, because then people will show up that's not part of this group, and I can't afford to pay for them too, because it's already like 50 of our people. So we're gonna have dinner. If you want to, I think this place is called Chico Malo. I'm probably like killing the pronunciation, but it's right next to the Sheraton Hotel, like, and you can't miss it. We've got a huge room, beautiful. We're not going to be squeezed in like last time. Amazing drink menu, amazing dinner menu. Like, it's going to be lit. So no need to bring anything, just yourself. Dinner drinks are on us. So definitely you do want to RSVP. So when you get that RSVP, let us know, because we do need a head count. And then we're going to switch gears to our topic. We have a legend, almost as good as Michael Phelps. Ben beat me to that. I do not have the Michael Phelps connection, but I do have the Brandon Ramirez connection. For those of you who don't know Brandon is our Benchmade Team San Antonio operator, one of the good guys, right? Like, you all know, like, there are good guys and there are okay guys and then there are not so good guys. Brandon's the kind of guy that you want in your corner, and he's just the kind of guy who's in everybody's corner. I'm gonna let him tell some of his story, but I'm gonna set it up like this for those of you who love to take notes. I've known Brandon for almost 7 years, hired him. He's one of my closest allies, partners, friends. He got into real estate, I guess, almost 7 years ago. He was one of Benchmade Team's Austin's top agents for years, right? Never fell out of that top agent category. And then started a team in San Antonio, started fresh, right? Last year, his team closed over 1 million GCI, over 100 units. This year, they already hit 1 million GCI, and there's a whole lot of year left. So he had zero selling experience, which is one of the reasons I wanted him on today, because it gives you a glimpse of what's possible, right? Whether your dream is X, Y, or Z, like, if you give yourself enough time and you're consistent and you focus on something, like, you can do it. Like, 7 years sounds like a long time, but it's not, you guys. The older you get, you realize your 7 years is short. So anyway, today will be fun. Brandon promised that he is going to be super short. He's not going to have any jokes whatsoever this morning. He's going to finish on time. But for real, we got people who do both 6,000, so he knows what's up. I'm going to spotlight you, Brandon, for everyone. And do you need co-hosting power or anything like that? Or are you good? I don't know. All right, cool. Let's get started.
Yeah.
Brandon, everybody wants to know you. Tell us a little bit about your background, where you grew up, like what your background looks like. Do you have like a bunch of kids at home? Do you have any pets at home? Why you got into real estate, that sort of thing. Start us off.
Yeah, and I'll keep this shorter than goal planning. What's my background? So originally I was born in California, in Orange County. When I was 6 or 7, my parents split up. So we came back to my dad's hometown of Uvalde, Texas. So I grew up there. I graduated high school there. I went to college there for a year. And then I lived there until 2015, until I joined the team in Austin. Prior to real estate, I was a Border Patrol agent. I got into the Border Patrol in 2008. Did that until November 2015. So I did about 7 years, and then I resigned maybe a month after that 7-year mark. In the Border Patrol,
you were making good money, right?
Yeah. So when I left, compensation and everything was over 6 figures, and that was probably for like the last couple years I was there. And that's really what gave me some insight on needing to make a move, was because I wasn't happy. And so I had to kind of future cast a little bit and see what I wanted to do with my life, to be effective in helping people. And I didn't think that career path was going to be for me for another 17 years, unfortunately. So there were some lucrative reasons to stay there. Millionaire, 40 something, could have had all kinds of stuff, but I didn't quite have a plan, but I knew that there was something better out there for me. So I took a risk and quit and moved to Austin, and it's all worked out. It's the best decision of my life, as cliche as that might sound. But in the Border Patrol, I got some time to kind of get my hands on a lot of different things. So I did the law enforcement portion of that job, obviously, but I got to be, a public liaison. I got to teach kids about, the perils of drug trafficking and stuff like that, and get into the community, raise money for scholarships. I was an instructor, health and safety officer. I was just trying to get my hands on anything I could do to stay busy. Right before I left, though, which was something that was really good, and it kind of played out similar to right before I moved to San Antonio, I got an opportunity to be certified as an intermediate force instructor. And so I got some experience there, teaching adults, training adults, putting curriculum together. It was physical, which is something that I like. It was something I was passionate about. So that kind of kept me around for that last year, kind of kept me happy while I put some, plans in motion to get out. And after that, I moved to Austin, end of 2015, I would say December. And then I was there till the end of December 2018. And then here we are.
That's awesome. Do you remember your first few years in real estate? What did that look like?
Yeah, so it was really fun. I think about this a lot because, it's, those were really good years for me in my life and business. But yeah, the first year I got licensed. I joined the team in December, and then it took a little bit for my license to come through. So my license came through at the end of January, right as I was selling my house in Uvalde. And that first year, from I guess February through January, it was like 15 units. 12 units to December are the numbers that I remember. And for me, my focus the first year was to learn. So, growing up, not having money, the Border Patrol gave me an opportunity to go from financially self-conscious to conscious. So I understood money. I was out of debt by then, for the most part. And I just wanted to learn. And I took the small deals. I took the big deals. I just wanted to be involved and honestly just reinvent myself, right? I wanted to get rid of my old habits, the things that I thought I was bringing to the toxicity of my last position with the government. And it went okay. Knowing what I know now, I think that I severely underperformed my first year, but it was fine. And I remember starting the second year, super excited to just have a couple hundred people in my database. I didn't know anybody from Austin. I wasn't from Austin. I didn't have a sphere. I pretty much burnt every bridge with all my past coworkers on purpose, but in hindsight, that was immature. So I just had to start from scratch. It's one of the reasons, I partnered with you. You had a really solid background of grit, and I knew your background of, how you were raised and where you came from and stuff. And I thought that was, an awesome partner to have some grit with, to do some hard stuff. And I knew neither of us would quit. And we'll talk about that later, but that first year was cool. I got to learn a lot. I grew a lot. I think there I got to buy in, learn gratitude at a higher level, kind of get some deals under my belt, become a part of the team. And then the second year was really fun because I had a couple hundred people in my database. I had kind of learned some of my mistakes of, follow up and time management. You guys know how it is. Putting it all together the first years could be a crapshoot, right? And as long as you stick with it, you get to see a lot of your hard work pay off. So the second year, I think I doubled production somewhere in the 20s. I think you might have these numbers handy. And then I was like, man, this is really, really cool. And I knew I wasn't going to not do this ever, right? Like I started to understand the investment portion of it, helping people. I realized how I could put my hands around being an effective tool to help people. And that was my biggest growth those first 2 years.
I love that. Do you remember any of your lessons, any of your experiences or fails, or even mindset that you went through, especially maybe in the first 5 years?
Yeah. So something that's super important for me, and it's one of the reasons that I moved away from my hometown and I quit that really good job and I ended a lot of friendships and relationships and stuff like that, was because I try to internalize as much as I can every day so that I could become a better person, right? Because if I'm not a better person, I can't be effective with anybody, right? I could kind of cheat it and lie it and kind of, be slick with words and stuff like that. But that's just not in my nature to do that. So a lot of the lessons that I learned, in the first couple of years were on my own, right? Me, accountability, what that really looked like. I got a lot of that from you and, Maria and Casey and people who were just showing up every day and really putting in the work. But being accountable to myself, being genuine, right? And being able to look at myself and say, hey, did I really do everything I could do today? Because I thought I worked hard when I got here, and you quickly showed me that there's a lot like working hard, what it really looks like, to be honest. And I've told that story to you and a lot of people. I would leave early sometimes before I started putting the puzzle pieces together. And when I started staying late, you were still staying later than me. And it was like 10 o'clock at night. And I was like, Jesus Christ, like I need to really put in some work. So a lot of those lessons were reflective, right? Like, I've said I want to work hard. Am I really working hard? I said I wanted to do this much production. Am I really putting in the work to do that? Am I effective communicator? Am I good at setting expectations? Am I good at showing up? Am I a good teammate? These are a lot of things that I would, pose to myself, pretty often. And then I just worked on it. I asked a lot of questions. Being around the team really helped me sit in gratitude most often. But what it comes down to like basic things now, right? Looking at it, I was like, man, if I was just a little better at managing time those first couple of years, if I was just a little bit grittier those first couple of years, if I was X, Y, and Z. But it comes down to the basics, right? Am I doing enough activities, right? How's my health? How's my mental health right now? Would it be good if I talked to a bunch of people today? And then what's the bare minimum? Right. And I look back then and I think about times I didn't even hit the minimum standard. And it's like, man, whose opportunity did I cut off besides my own by not hitting this standard? Right. Because similar to Sarissa's story that she mentioned, I also had that was me. I had a couple of years where I got to December and I was this close more than once, like for a couple of years. And I was like, damn, if I would have just did what I said I was going to do, or if I would have just asked for more help or earlier, or just own it. That's pretty much my biggest lesson that I've learned the last 5 or 6 years. And take action.
I love that. Own it and take action. And especially when you have 11 weeks left in the sales year, like definitely that's a long time. Like, let's get after it. I love that. Do you remember doing your Bull 6000? Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, it's funny.
Okay, tell us a little bit about what it is and tell us like how that went, because that's and why you did it, and other than you were made to do it, what did that feel like, and what were your results and things like that?
I don't think about it as often anymore unless like a referral comes up from that, because we're still closing business from 6 years ago in Austin, even in San Antonio, from that challenge, which is, I'm very grateful for it. But it's funny you use the word like, because you were made to do it. We weren't looking at it like that then, right? And I think that has to do with like the culture and stuff. We were just like, yeah, we're doing this, right? Like we're down, we're in, all in, let's do it. But yeah, I remember that. It was hard. That was June, I think, of 2016. So that was almost everyone on the team's first year, if not everyone. And it was 6 months in for most people, 5 months in for me, I think. And that was like such a huge step in like my growth, because that's when that's the early introduction to anything could happen. Just do enough activities and then get better at them later, fine tune, whatever. But the taking action part of it was super cool. So yeah, I think our whole team did it then, and we had two teams doing it. And it was bold 100 contacts on Monday, 40 contacts Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And we did that for the entire month. And one of my bad habits is kind of like that's a good idea, but I wonder if my idea, right? And I try to get away from that over the years, because I'm dumber than most people when it comes to good ideas sometimes. And the first week was hard. We all tried to get the contacts through the dialer, and it was a lot of dials, right? And most people know that now because we do 1,000 dial days and all that stuff. But the second week, I didn't want to be on the phone as much. So I tried to get to 50 on that Monday. And then I went to HEB, and having worked there, that's what I did before the Border Patrol. I just found the unit director and said, hey, I'm a real estate agent. I want to hand out bags, because in Austin at the time, this was something I wasn't used to coming from a tiny town in Texas. They wouldn't give you plastic bags for free. It was a bag ban. And I have a funny story about that. We'll talk about it later. But so I was like, well, I go to HEB and I forget these bags all the time, and it's super annoying and frustrating. And so the bags were like 25, 26 cents. And I bought like 100 of them. And then I put my card in all of them. And this is like midsummer. This is when I used to wear suits. I'm like melting, putting these cards in the bags because I didn't know how to prepare the night before. That's a lesson that I've learned. And then I would just walk around the parking lot and offer people bags. And I realized then I wasn't the only one that kept forgetting these things, because I would see it on their face when they would look in their trunk and not have any. And so over the Bold 6,000 challenge, I think I gave away like 300 bags. And out of all those people, 2 people said no. And that's a lot, right? Like that was a lot of bags given, received warmly, I guess I could say. So I got to have a lot of face-to-face conversations every week. And I mean, like I said, we're still closing business off of that 6 years later. And that spider web of opportunity that came off of that was crazy. But for me, that was also a very big lesson on humility, right? Because I think it would have been very easy for me to be like, man, I just came from a 6-figure job. Now I'm wearing a suit, handing out plastic bags in a parking lot in 105-degree weather, looking ridiculous. I was sweating through this suit, like it was bad. But I didn't have that perspective, and I'm glad I didn't, because I would have missed out on growth there. Like that set me ahead, like in my mind, years, because I was like, well, shit, if I could do this, then I could do anything, right? Like when it comes to talking to people, and I'm not shy to talk to people as it is, but for me, it was more of an ego check of like, I just left this cushy, highly regarded to people in my community where I'm from. I was set, you know what I mean? And that was a really big step for me forward, when I think for a lot of people that would have been a step backwards. So I checked the ego at the door, and I got to meet a lot of people, and I got business off of it right away, which helped with the confidence and stuff like that too.
The chat is blowing up with, what was your script? Do you remember what you said to these people? Like,
yeah, I remember exactly what I said. Yeah.
Okay,
So
great.
I didn't stand by the door because I didn't want to like crowd, and it's like an open house when 20 people are coming in, you can't do it. So I would just wander around and like pick people out that were furthest away, essentially, that didn't have bags. And I would just walk up to them and say, hey, do you want a free bag? And then they would reach out, because like I said, only 2 people out of those like 300 said no. And as they were committing to taking that thing I was giving them, I would say, hey, by the way, my name's Brandon. I'm a realtor with Keller Williams here in Austin, and I'm out here every week in the community because I want to know what your real estate plans are for the next 12 months. That was it.
Right on, right on. I love that. Man, what a good lesson in the ego check, because you are spot on. Like the Brandon that I met really had, I don't want to say a lot of ego, but yes, like, I mean, because your previous job had actually really set you up for that, right? And
Yeah.
what a transition, those first 2 years of the confidence remained, but the ego, like, so much of it was shed. And what came out of that was an amazing teammate, an amazing partner. It was just beautiful. It was really, really cool to see. I love that. I love that.
Thank you for saying that, because that job was probably from a mental health and who I need to become in my life, was the worst job I could have picked, right? But I picked it for a reason. It appealed to me. I could drop out of college, make money as if I had a degree. It would give me some importance that I needed because of the way I was raised. Like, and I knew I would be good at it. As arrogant as that might sound, like I was young, I was athletic, I already spoke Spanish, I already was familiar with the Border Patrol because that's a big thing in Uvalde. So that was like my kind of backup to, like, if college doesn't work out because I don't want to get in debt and I'm burned out from school. So that was like the worst thing for me to do, because it stoked my ego, because, you know, you get paid good money and people tell you that job's important and it's physical, it's hard, right? And like for me, that's why I left, because I knew it wasn't healthy. I was like, man, I'm going to become this person that I don't want to be. I didn't want to be that person anymore. I had to be that person to survive like the first 18, 19 years of my life. It gave me confidence. It gave me, you know, a competitive edge. I was successful in a lot of things that I got to do at a young age, just out of spite and grit. I just had to, and I know people on the call know what I'm talking about. You just got to white knuckle it sometimes in your life. And I did that, and I didn't want to do that anymore. Right. And my friendships were shallow. My partnerships were shallow, some of them. And it was just like my coworkers, those relationships were shallow, and I didn't want to be that person anymore. And so and the reason I want to bring this up is in case I forget to bring it up later, like I reinvented myself on purpose. I didn't take away all the things that I was good at or anything like that, but the way I was going to receive people and receive information and opportunities. After I met you the first time when I was driving up to Austin, I've told people this story. I literally had this like conversation out loud and internally with myself more than once. And I said, when you get up there, just shut up, listen. You don't know shit about this. Like, just, it's enough is enough, dude. Like, if you want to make this an opportunity, like, just, you're saying you want a new opportunity, just go get it. And I did. I reinvented myself in one day and agreed to do the hard work. And that's a lesson over the last 7 years too. I've had to do that a couple of times, right? Where I'm just like, hey man, like, this next level is going to require something of you that you don't have yet, and you want it. So take it when it comes, and don't tell the universe you want an opportunity. And when that opportunity shows up, you're not ready for it, or you have some excuse built in that's not going to give it to you. So thank you for saying that. And that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned. But if you want it, you could do it tomorrow. Like, but you have to agree to do the rest of it. Sign that contract with yourself. And that's what I did. And you and the team and everybody, it couldn't have been a better incubator for me to start changing my life. So it worked out.
I love that. I love that. And so you did the bold 6,000. And for everybody who doesn't know, it was just a catchy little phrase for doing 100 contacts on Mondays and 40 contacts each day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, for a month straight. That's what it looked like originally. And the reason for that is we had only sold 8 homes in the first half of the year. We had a team of like 10 or whatever. And it was just, we were dying, guys. And we were so bad because we were all new, right? It was like the blind leading the blind. And I wasn't there as the leader, like in terms of like production leader. Like I was like, I'm not going to sell a single house in Texas. And you remove, the person that can sell houses, then the reality really shows up. But through that sheer amount of activity, the team closed 92 units the second half of the year, right? And they didn't magically just get better. It's just doing all the activity, you do get better, by the way, right? You put in like 5 months worth of like work into 1 month, right? But all that activity turns into business, right? Those HEV bags become clients. You did it with your team years later. It was one of the first things that you did this year, or was it this year? It was this year, right?
This year in
how
February.
was that? Okay, perfect. How was that? And why did you guys do it? And are you glad you did it?
Yeah. Well, I think for the same reason, we kind of realized individually in our businesses and overall, like, we wanted to go somewhere bigger this year. And I give credit to, the agent partners here in San Antonio for realizing that. And it's hard. Like Beth told me, we're doing it the other day. We had a chance to connect, and I was like, oh yeah, that's the good stuff right there, because it does lead to a lot. You end up doing a quarter's work, a month's work, a year's work in a month. And I have the numbers up. So it went pretty well. We gamified it a little bit more than we did the first time. And I could share those with you guys if you want them after, but it went well. I think we had 12 at the time, 6 agents did it, half the agents. And their time on the team ranged from 4 months to a year and 5 months. So it wasn't just, agents coming out of launch or anything like that. It was a good little mix of, and by the way, our team's 2.5 years old, right? So to give you a perspective, those would be like senior agents kind of, right? But they showed up in a big way. So we did it for the entire month of February. Dials, 44,751 dials. They set 28 appointments, 4,089 contacts, 488 nurtures, 3 listings, 7 pendings, and 5 buyer reps.
Wow. Awesome.
And there was a feat done, and there's a lot of people that have been here longer than me, but I had never seen someone do this. But Kaylee on our team, because there was a way to make up stuff the last week, and we tried to keep it as possible as possible, but still very hard. The last week that she had to make up a few contacts, she did 3 bold 100s back to back to back, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or something like that. And I had never seen anyone do that. And that for me even was like, geez, like, what are we leaving on the table sometimes, right? Like, damn, it was stunning. Like, it was crazy. And she was tired, but she did it. And that's the point, right? Like, she was like, no, I'm doing this. And then did it. And 300 contacts in 3 days was like, holy crap. It was, congrats. That was
No,
nice.
man, you do 300 contacts in 3 days. You can do anything. Like, I mean, that's amazing. Why did you start the team? What was your vision around that? Like, You could have done a million other things. The more successful you become, the more the world opens up. There's never a shortage of opportunity. There's a shortage of talent that's consistent and focused, right? So why start the team, and is the market affecting any of that now?
Yeah, so I think because I was disadvantaged, and like a lot of us are in some way or another, once I figured out, like I got myself out of it, for some reason, like my main, because I've always kind of been like that. Like I want to help someone get what I have and be better than me, right? And I just didn't know how to channel that energy in the right way. And the way I was channeling it before I met you was very toxic and very domineering and not good. It wasn't effective. I wasn't helping people. But I've always wanted to, I know that there's a lot out there. And I knew that when I was 26 or 27, when I met you. And I needed some partnership and like a funnel to like channel this energy to want to help people in mass. And I think it was our first year and we were sitting down for a one-on-one and you said, hey, what do you want to do in 3 years? And no one had ever asked me that in my life. And I was like, I don't know, but I had seen how you got to, affect people's business. You got to affect their income. You got to help them grow their life and their mindset and things like that. And that really appealed to me because you were doing that to me. And I was kind of not as open and receptive in the beginning because I've always had to be, back then I'm not like that anymore, but I had to be pessimistic and kind of, are they trying to help me? Do they need something from me? I wasn't good at spotting genuine people. And so I asked you, like, how do I get your job? And you said, oh, you mean like expansion? And I said, I think so. And you're like, well, here's what it would look like. Here's what you would have to do. And I really appreciated that because one, you didn't tell me no, right? You showed me vision, but accountable vision, where you said, hey, well, anyone could do this, but you need to do this, right? And that the kind of person that I am, I need that. I need a target. I want to go perform. And we just held on to that for until we did it, right? And so you showed up as exactly the type of person that I thought you were off that. And I was like, this is someone to run with. Like we could go do some stuff together. The joy now is that our entire organization is jam-packed with people like that. So for me, it's I'm psyched. But I just wanted to help more people. I wanted to have a higher impact. I wanted to be able to show this model and this culture and opportunity to everyone who would show up and do the work. Everyone who'd be a good person, everyone who wants to, serve. And through that, I have found a lot more than what I thought it was, and it's been positive. But the impact's even greater than I thought it would be, right? By us growing this and really leaning in and me learning all these lessons and getting a chance to pour into people, I'm like, man, it's even better than I thought 6 years ago, right?
And that sounds like sunshine and rainbows, but I know it's not. Like, I know it's really hard work. And you could probably make more in sales.
Yeah.
So like, why? Because the days are hard.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I ever looked at it that way. I know that, right? From the production, I'm on the economic side, I'm in tune, and it's just not as important to me, right? Like, so what I want to do is help people like make as much money as they want, because that's almost the first step of growth in America. Is like, you have to figure out, get stable with your money, and then you have freedom to make the options and choices and growth patterns that you want to make, right? So that's where I'm very grateful for my last job. I'd been poor my whole life. So when people were like, money doesn't solve blah, blah, blah. And I was like, whatever, dude, I'm going to go make this money. And then I did, but it didn't even take long. It took 2-3 years of being stable to be like, oh no, like I made this for the wrong reasons type of thing, right? And so I don't know, like that sounds kind of airy fairy too, right? Like, well, money's not important to me. No, don't get me wrong. It's very important. I love money, and I love making money, budgeting money, investing money. I want to make everyone around me wealthy and own as many homes as they want, their kids and legacy and all that. Well, I guess I just answered your question with that, but it's secondary to me, right? Because someone told me in the beginning, like, worry about how many people you want to help. The money takes care of itself. That was you. You told me that, and I ran with it.
Byproduct of helping everyone else get what they want, right? Like, absolutely. Right. What are you looking forward to now? You looking forward to anything?
I'm looking forward to everything. the good, the bad, the ugly. I told the team this yesterday. Where we're headed is a war of attrition, and we're gonna win, right? Like that's just no one's gonna outlast us. We're not quitters here. Like, and I mean this in the macro and also locally. Like, I want it all because that's where the growth happens, right? And I'm most excited about watching everyone around me, watching those dominoes fall, right? And getting to be, a small part of that or a big part of that. I want everyone around me to get what they want, to get what they want for their kids, to get the money they want, the wealth, this, whatever they're looking for. I want everyone around me to have it all. And everybody's definition of all is different. Like for me, it's personal growth. That is all. That's everything to me, is to be able to rise above bad habits and emotions and things like that, to be an effective tool for people. So where did I get that overall? I don't know, right? But I'm not getting rid of it, right? Like and this place is perfect for me to just channel. I don't know if you can feel that intensity, but like I need to channel this somewhere. And I've learned, I've learned to channel it in other people, and I'm working on that. So what I'm looking forward to is everything that's coming. Like we're going to be here for it. Right. And that's how I want to approach it. That's cool. Like we're going to have good days. We're going to have bad days. We're going to have ugly days, but we'll be better off for it. It ain't going to be pretty all the time, but it's on. Like, I mean, the battle of attrition is my favorite type of battle. And I shared this yesterday at Power Up. Like, it's going to get hard. That's okay. We're hard people, right? And it's going to be fun. And that's okay too, because we're fun people. But by us sticking together and recommitting to the things that we want to do to have our preferred futures, we can't lose. Like at every level of this organization, it is that. Like that is the energy. You can't go wrong with that, right? Like, I'm a big fan. I mean, drink the Kool-Aid, dude, because I'm pouring it. Like I'm drinking it too. And it's been one of the biggest lessons for me is buying in, right? You asked me that question, like buy in. Like I jumped in both feet, hands, head, everything. I'm in the water, dude. Like I want it all for everyone who's around me. And I think that's what I'm looking forward to the most, and the work it's going to take to become who we want to be. That's where we're at.
You said the work that it's going to take. So last question, with 11 sales weeks left, like what would be your advice to just maximize the next, 80 something days?
Yeah. So what we're talking about right now in San Antonio is usually what we're talking about at coaching, and we get to goal planning and it becomes more prevalent because people are looking back at their goals and stuff. But what we're trying to do now is identify gaps. And like, be honest, like that would be my overall advice. Be genuine with yourself. If you love your future self enough, call yourself out. Where'd you fall short this year? How many open houses, how many contacts, and things like that, just the numbers in our business. And then just agree to not do that anymore, right? Like not to let yourself down, and then work together and ask questions with leadership or your coaching or your teammates to team up and really take the initiative, right? To do it. It's not complicated. I love that so many people have gotten on these calls on Thursdays, and top producers, new producers, everybody's been like 20 conversations a day. That's our minimum standard in San Antonio. So that was proof of concept through the rest of the system coming back to us that we know what to do, right? Let's identify why we haven't been doing that this year for any reason. And then let's build around that. Let's prescribe around that and really go for it. That also, in addition to that, we're also tracking the market. So we have started to see a shift here in San Antonio, and we're focused on how can we prevent, the market's down, this week so far, 36% is where we were at on Tuesday, but none of our businesses are down 36%. So we don't have to accept that story individually or as a group, but what are we going to have to do that? So for seller activities, we're doubling down on that. For communication, I would recommend over communicate, like everyone else on the calls have said, right? And then take a look at your conversations and conversion every week. And is it enough? And then make the change next week, but really make the change. Because one of the things we were talking about in San Antonio when we started seeing the shift in other markets was, this is going to be the market to expose us. I think I said this on a call in this group, like it's going to show how good you are at the good things and how bad we are at the bad things. And let's try to get ahead of it. All that stuff is not going to negate the fact that this is an activities-based business. And so for us, something I'm really proud of, and a shout out to the team because they're doing the work. Open houses just went to our third highest source for total business overall. It was like 6th or 7th until we just had a all the work paid off finally, right? Like this year. And I hate to use the word finally because it's disingenuous, but get in front of people. And so a lot of our agents are doing, if they were doing one open house, they're doing two. If they were doing two, they're doing three. If they were doing, 2 hours in Brivity, they might be doing 4 now, right? And we're just trying to get really intentional on the highest producing activities headed into the end of the year. But what we're not doing is tapping out.
Right on, right on. Brandon, will you pop your contact info? We've got so many people that, just have arrived in the last 2 years to our company. And you may have connected with somebody that they felt like, man, that's me. Or there's parts of this that I really feel like that's a lot like me. I want those people to be able to connect with you. So you have leveled us up as per usual. Very, very grateful. And I don't know if anybody's watching the time, but that was the fastest I've ever heard Brandon speak. Your conciseness has, we are here for it. It was really great. Speaking of open houses, man, you like really set that up, because next week, you guys, we have Malia, who is one of our place partners who rocks at open houses and getting serious business from the before, during, and after strategy of open houses. So she will be on next week. This recording will be available on our Texas playlist this morning. And that's it. We're just going to go out and make this count. Make that decision. Reinvent yourself today. Pull a Brandon and reinvent yourself today, guys. All right. Have a good one. Thanks, guys.
Thank y'all.